You got yogurt all over your face. Like, clean up your lips, dog. You got hella yogurt, dude. Like, why do you eat yogurt with, like, the outside, the non-lip part of your mouth? Like, there's the lip part, and then there's, like, the non-lip part right above, and that's what she eats with.
I noticed I've been going like that.
Put your yogurt away. What is going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Queer Collective podcast. My name is Karbon, the conspiracy theorist.
My name's Emily. I'm just like here for the ride.
Thank you for coming along. The thing that you notice at the corner is my laptop, so that's what you're seeing because I need it in order to tell you all about my conspiracy theories.
Hell yeah. Welcome to the edible episode.
Excuse me, what? The what?
Welcome to the edible episode.
That's better.
Thank you.
You can tell she's on an edible.
Whoa. It hit. It literally just hit.
Congratulations on
you
it.
so
on
much.
It, on it hitting. And
Everyone.
thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I'm going to take
happy.
you on a ride. One of my favorite things ever is conspiracy theories. I love hearing conspiracy theories about everything, about aliens, about people, about witches, about some conspiracy theories really reach. Others are like, that sounds legit. Like the Mandela effect.
Oh my god, yeah, that one
Super
freaks me
legit.
out the most.
Berenstein Bears or Berenstein Bears?
I hate that so much.
You do.
Don't ever bring it up again. It makes me so upset to know that it's Berenstein Bears.
It's not correct. It's
The Berenstein Bears.
It's not the Berenstein Bears. It's the Berenstein Bears. But I have a conspiracy theory for you.
I'm so excited.
For you all. And I think this one might blow your mind. Also, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video because it really helps the channel out. And we post every single week. So you do not want to miss it. Hit that notification bell. All right. Jumping right into it. I have gathered some compelling, we'll call it evidence, quote, 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 unquote, quote, air quotes, evidence that I think might be convincing or compelling, or at least will pique your interest. Like I mentioned, I love conspiracy theories. Like I think my favorite conspiracy theories are alien related because I believe that aliens are real. If you disagree, that's fine. But I still think my things. So I would get to the point where I would watch so much of it, like alien specific. I would watch so much of it that I would be paranoid. And then walking home late at night in the dark, I was so afraid that they were going to come and abduct me because I knew too much. Which I don't know too much.
They're worried about you. They're like, whoa.
About me.
They're like,
whoa, out of all the people,
this girl watched too many YouTube videos.
Yeah, out of all the people, right? Like, they could infiltrate military people that actually probably do know too much. But no, they're coming for me. Have you heard of the theory that Shakespeare, the William Shakespeare,
The guy?
the dude,
One and only.
the broski, William Shakespeare did not write anything by William Shakespeare?
Say what?
So for this conspiracy theory of William Shakespeare not writing any of his works is a conspiracy theory that has many theories, right?
Okay.
So there's the general theory or the umbrella theory that he didn't write any of his own works. But then there's like the theories of like, well, who did if he didn't, right? So my favorite one is that Sir Francis Bacon, you know, Mr. Bacon.
Familiar.
Sound familiar? He actually is behind every single one of Shakespeare's works. First, I'm going to dig into Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So let's start with Shakespeare. Who is that dude? Well, the thing is that there's not very much, little, if any at all, documentation about who Shakespeare was.
That is pretty weird, eh? Like, considering how every single person learns Shakespeare in school.
Exactly.
And, like, English class is so centered around it.
But other than his actual written works that he wrote, there's nothing other than those works that he has written. Like, for example, back in the day, right? Like 1500s, 1600s, people wrote letters to communicate with each other. Like,
what? No way.
yeah, for real.
They didn't have cell phones?
Nope.
No cell phones.
No, ma'am. So they would write letters. There's no
Huh.
letters ever found by William Shakespeare that were written by William Shakespeare. Like, nobody
Weird.
has any collections of his letters. There's merely been like signatures found that are said by scholars to appear like someone who does not know how to use a pen.
Really?
Like, that's what his signature looks like. It looks like someone who doesn't know how to use a pen.
What time period are we looking at here?
1500s and 1600s.
Damn.
Yes.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, like back in the day.
Is it common to have found things from people this long ago?
Yeah, like Jesus has things.
Jesus got things? What he got?
He got that cloth with Jesus' face on it.
What? I don't know Jesus.
Oh. It is common to have things
Okay.
from this era because like Sir Francis Bacon's work are
Mhm.
all published and like is known, and
Okay.
like he has essays that people held on to
Okay.
and things like that, you know. More than
Interesting.
just his like literature
Main
work, there's like things written by
Right.
him that didn't have to do with his literature.
Okay.
Feel me? So
Yeah.
documentation was kept is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right? All right. So, other than the plays themselves, we have little documentary evidence of Shakespeare. So, a few signatures, a record of his marriage to Anne Hathaway, not related to the Anne Hathaway of today, but his
What?
wife's name was Anne Hathaway.
That's so weird.
Right? And then there's a strange 3-page will that he wrote, you know, before his death. Some papers detailing business transactions, totally unrelated to writing. And just 2 portraits. No record of his schooling, not one single manuscript of his own hand of even a fragment of his work. So basically, we have no idea what this guy's handwriting looks like,
Weird.
right? Like, other than like his will, perhaps. But that, you know, a will is not a piece of literature. So there's nothing to indicate that he actually thought that way, the way that he did in his
will
work.
handwritten?
I'm actually not, I believe so. I believe it's
Yeah.
handwritten, yes, because that's how they did it back in the day. So scholars long tried to find documentation to create Shakespeare's biography in the decades after his death. They found very little, and to make matters more confusing, much of what they found was fraudulent.
Huh.
So not his work, not his handwriting. The weird thing is that even though his plays were an instant hit,
Yeah.
nobody wrote a biography about him until 100
Weird.
years later after his death.
Stop. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So
and-
they
yeah.
instantly got famous.
His plays instantly were famous, yes.
Wild. I never would have thought that.
Mhm. But nobody wrote a biography of him until 100 years after he
That's
died.
very strange.
Imagine how inaccurate a biography might be 100 years after your death.
Yeah.
So really, literally the only thing that you have that has his handwriting are some signatures and his will. It's especially interesting to note that for a span of more than 2 centuries after his death, no one even suggested that the Shakespeare of Stratford was not the author of his own plays.
Interesting. So
Right.
this first started coming up 200 years after.
Literally 200 years after.
Interesting.
Like popular
Mm-hmm.
questioning,
Yeah.
like among the masses kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people questioned it to begin with. There's even there's plenty of scholars, like respected scholars, authors. They also believe that Shakespeare didn't write any of his own work.
Really?
Yeah, big question here. Huge question. And I think this is really what gets people questioning
Mhm.
and wondering if he actually did write his own stuff.
Yeah.
How could an untraveled, poorly schooled commoner who was an actor have written so widely on topics about which he could have had no firsthand knowledge, right? Court intrigue, legal processes, life in other countries, even stories and information that had been translated into English from Latin.
Weird.
How could someone with no schooling, no traveling experience, and he was an actor, right?
Yeah.
He was just like just a dude. How could he have written about things so accurately without the experience to write it, right? His works include extensive knowledge about law, philosophy, classical literature, ancient and modern history, art, astronomy, mathematics, music, medicine, military naval terminology, French, English, and Italian court life.
What the hell?
So everything in his plays, in his works of art, anything that had to do with court processes were accurate in terms of how the process is handled. Like all of the legal information within his books were very accurate to like the date and the time and the location. So he would have had to have court knowledge in order to write some of these things. So you see where people start being like, how could he have known?
I already believe it.
I haven't even given you anything else other than that. Okay, another really weird thing. There was no celebration of him upon his death. Like nobody celebrated his life.
Mm-hmm.
There was no biography of him upon his death. Like I mentioned, it took 100 years before one was even written.
And he was famous.
And in his will, there was no mention of his work whatsoever. Zero. And the extent of his wills, just to give you an idea, literally included things like leaving his second best bed and furniture to his wife. This dude's writing a will, right? And he has all these beautiful, famous works of art that everybody follows, right? Pieces of literature. And he's like, I leave my second best bed and furniture to my wife.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's
like,
so
obviously
weird.
that's not it, but like, that's not everything that's in his will, but that was like how extensive it got.
I believe it more now.
7 years after his death, his friends comprised a folio of his writing that gave clues of his identity. They called him the Phantom Captain Shakespeare. The Rosicrucian's Mask.
His friends did this?
His friends did this. And Rosicrucians is a key element here, everybody, because the person that we're going to talk about next, which is Sir Francis Bacon, is said to be a leader in the Rosicrucians society.
What does Rosicrucian mean?
They're a community of kind of like mystics, a little bit, who study and practice the metaphysical laws governing the universe. So essentially, the teachings are a combination of occultism and other religious beliefs, practices including Hermeticism, Jewish mysticism, and Christian Gnosticism. The central feature of Rosicrucianism is the belief that its members possess secret wisdom that was handed down to them from ancient times.
Sick.
Yeah. So they're like all-knowing beings. They're like you know what I mean? Like they just like they know. They freaking know. Okay, so some great minds that have doubted Shakespeare. Highly respected. Mark Twain, an American writer of books such as Huckleberry Finn, famous.
Good shit.
Yeah, and I quote, "So far as anybody actually knows and can prove, Shakespeare of Stratford-on-Avon never wrote a play in his life." Sigmund Freud, this is, whose work is often equated with Shakespeare and its cultural impact. He drew heavily from Hamlet even. This is his quote, "It is undeniably painful to all of us that even now we do not know who was the author of the comedies, tragedies, and sonnets of Shakespeare." So he also believes that Shakespeare didn't write a play. And then Charlie Chaplin. I love Charlie Chaplin. Yeah. He's brilliant, like producer, actor, comedian, a guy with a message. Charlie Chaplin said, "I can hardly think it was the Stratford boy. Whoever wrote them had an aristocratic attitude." There's all these people that are famous, that are respected, that also have great works of literature. They doubt him, right? If these super respected people doubt him, then, might be reason to doubt him. Might be reason to doubt he wrote his plays. So let's get into a little bit of a fun activity. Okay. I have a few pieces of quote unquote evidence, air quotes around that. Some of them are really reaching. Others are not reaching as much and have a little bit more substance. Let's start with the one that reaches the most, in my opinion. Okay. So there's the famous Droschot portrait. I don't know how you pronounce it. Droschot?
I don't know.
You know the Portrait of Shakespeare? It's famous. You know this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this portrait of him. And here's the conspiracy behind it. It is said that, so it's a portrait from his first folio in 1623. The portrait has a line from his chin to his ear that apparently to people signify him wearing a mask. So let me show you the picture again. There's this weird line right here from his ear all the way down to his chin. And then people are like, why the hell is there a line here? It could be potentially his chin separating from his neck. It is a harsh line, I will say. And obviously the artist does use shadowing. So why would there be a line? I don't know. I think it's reaching quite a bit, but it's interesting.
I think it might be part of his like costume.
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So that one's like, in my opinion, the one that reaches the most.
Yeah.
Here's the one that reaches the second most. The monument of his hometown. They have a statue of Shakespeare, right? Okay. So that statue is Shakespeare writing on a piece of paper, and he's like kind of looking off into the distance a little bit, kind of like there. And the piece of paper on the monument is blank. That one, it could be that they just decided not to put lines on it, not at all related to them thinking anything about it. Or it could be that, again, it's reaching.
How old is the statue? Because if it's recent, I feel like it's definitely not like on purpose. You know what I mean? I feel like they're just probably too lazy to do it. But I think if it's old, then it might be symbolic.
1623.
That's when the monument was built?
The date is not known exactly, like the specific day.
Yeah.
But it is said that it was before 1623, which was the year of his first folio.
Was the folio after he died?
The folio was way after he died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he died in 1616.
Okay, so recent after, though.
Pretty recent after he died.
Yeah.
The monument was built.
Okay, I think it might mean something then, because that's quite old.
Yeah, it is quite old. I think it still reaches quite a bit, though.
Totally.
Here's another one. Oh, this one's fun. It's still really reaching.
Okay.
It's really reaching, but it's fun. So I'm going to show it. Okay. So there's ciphers.
Yeah.
Or at least people claim that there's ciphers that can be found all over Shakespeare's work, indicating to Sir Francis Bacon. Now, a little bit of, not a whole backstory, but just a little tidbit about Sir Francis Bacon. Yeah. Bacon. He's Bacon. He, amongst many, many titles that he had throughout his life, was also a master of ciphers.
What's a cipher?
Like codes.
Oh.
Writing codes and deciphering codes. He was a master at it. He was a code master. So if you're a code master, you're a ciphers master, why not throw in some freaking ciphers?
Yeah, hell yeah.
If that is your work, right? That'd be pretty cool. All right, so here's a few that I'm going to show you. These in particular, you can take them for what they are, whatever. So here is a cipher in the works of the play King Lear. King Lear. Found on page 287. So if we look at it closely, you can see here, down here, Sir France. Okay, Sir France, right there. We're going to go up here, and it's all at the end of it, right? So Sir Francis Bacon. Okay, so for some people, this might be reaching a lot. However, if the cipher was too easily recognized, then it wouldn't really be a cipher.
Yeah.
And also that would be shame on someone who is a master of ciphers, right? Yeah. So it would have to be pretty difficult to find, and it would have to be, something that seems like too much of a reach for a lot of people. That's what ciphers kind of do. Yeah. That's their thing, right? Something that's really interesting about these ciphers is that each of the 4 long lines of this whole thing has a letter count of 33. If you exclude the letters of the cipher syllables, which is Francis Bacon. The number 33 is apparently very closely connected to the man, Sir Francis Bacon. People have found now that even in his last name, he has a numerical value of 33. Each letter corresponds to a value. All of them add up to the value of 33, right? So I'll put it up on the screen. B is 2, A is 1, C is 3, O is 14, N is 13.
What do those values have to do with anything?
If you add them all up, it's the number 33.
Yeah, but why are they assigned that number?
Oh, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3.
Oh, in the alphabet. Okay,
yes.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't explain that quite right. And apparently because his last name spells 33, the number 33 can be found all over his works.
Interesting.
Like all of the plays, all of Shakespeare's works, all of the ciphers apparently tend to be connected to the number 33. Okay, here's another example from his work.
This one's crazy.
This one's pretty crazy. So if we look at all of the first letters here, it spells bacon. Well, it's B-A-O-N, right? The 3 right here can be used as the letter C to produce bacon. Mm-hmm. This is again connected with 2 3s, one here, one over here, which again represents the number 33. So 33 and bacon is found all, or the full name, Sir Francis Bacon, is found all over Shakespeare's works. This is just 2 examples of it, right? There's even a freaking declaration. So people believe this so strongly that William Shakespeare didn't write his own work. People believe this so strongly that they even started a declaration called the Declaration of Reasonable Doubt that he didn't write his plays. You can go sign it. Like anyone can go sign it and be like, yes, I agree with this thing. You might be wondering, who the hell is Sir Francis Bacon?
Exactly what I was wondering.
Perfect, because I'm going to tell you. There's many things that we can dive into regarding this dude, Sir Francis Bacon, but I'm just going to keep it relevant to the topic.
Okay.
All right, so Sir Francis Bacon, why him? If Shakespeare didn't write his own work, why do people think it's him?
Yeah.
Right?
Why wouldn't he just put his own name on it?
Yeah, why is this Bacon dude doing that, right? Okay, so first, a little bit of a backstory of him. Okay, he's a leading figure of the English Renaissance, number 1. He's educated at Cambridge, in the not like Cambridge, Canada, but Cambridge in Britain. He's widely traveled, a famous philosopher, one of the inventors of the scientific method, who led a literary society. He was also the ultimate royal insider. In addition to holding other positions, he was a member to the Privy Council and held the title of Lord Chancellor. He was also an attorney general.
So all that drama that like Shakespeare would need to know, like about like court proceedings and like et cetera.
Yeah, he was a lawyer. He was an attorney as well. This Francis Bacon guy.
He knows.
Yeah, and on top of that, he was said to be a leader in the Rosicrucians Society, as well as the Freemasons and Knights Templar. I don't want to get into too much detail about the Freemasons and Rosicrucianists and Knights Templar. Those you can go and Google yourself, but essentially those are secret societies. Just a quick thing about Freemasons is that a big mission, or their main mission, was to build the New World, the New World Order, you could say. There's the question of okay, well, if he was all of those titles, he was, a Lord Chancellor and an attorney and all these and widely traveled and all of these different things, why would he hide his name, right? Why wouldn't he just put his name on it then if he was going to write it? Well, the thing is that it's not necessarily believed that Sir Francis Bacon physically wrote all of the works, but rather more along the lines of him getting a team of poets, right, and writers together to create the works of Shakespeare and use essentially William Shakespeare as a mask or an alias in order to publish these works and make them widely popular and known.
My only thing with that theory is the more people you bring into something, the more likely it is to get out. Why wouldn't all of these poets have said something?
There is, he was a master of secret societies as well. Keep that in mind.
True. Okay, yeah.
So there's a multitude of motivations he could have had for writing in secret. First of all, back then, poets were never thought of fit for office, and he was a Lord Chancellor. So He was very political. He was in the political game. You know, he was in the system. He was an expert in government intelligence, right? Spycrafts and ciphers. Here's a little tidbit. He wrote, quote, "Let him do his private business under a mask." And this is in his essay on negotiating, right? He wrote, "Let him do his private business under a mask. In choice of instruments, it is better to choose men of a plainer sort." That's in an essay of his. You can draw from that. Okay, we're getting into more things.
I'm actually shocked. I'm like silent. For those of you just listening, I'm silent, but my face is just pure shocked. Also, I'm like super on an edible right now.
You're super on an edible.
So I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Another thing is that Shakespeare and Sir Francis Bacon were born and lived within the same time frame.
Okay.
So William Shakespeare, born April 1564, died 1616.
Okay.
Right? Sir Francis Bacon, born 1561, died 1626. Okay. So their lives collided.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was within the same time frame.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, because we're still answering the question of, well, why would he want a mask or an alias? So England at the time was divided by different dialects per region, right? So that meant that a lot of people in England couldn't even understand each other, right? If they were from a different region. So if I'm from Scarborough and you're from Mississauga, we speak totally different dialects and we can't communicate with each other, is my example, modern day example. So essentially their language was not unified. It changed per region. So Sir Francis Bacon realized that the best way for people to learn was through communication, like arts and literature. He realized that before having the power or ability to become a strong country and leaders in the free world, Freemasonry hint, that they first had to unify their language and education in order to communicate and understand each other. So basically, he thought, I got to get these people on my side. I got to get them with the program. Yeah. So I have to unify the language and I have to make them more educated while I do it. The thing about William Shakespeare's work is that it did exactly that. English was a skewed dialect at Sir Francis Bacon's time. Yeah. All these different dialects, it was considered crude. English was no good. But then, and this is a fact, after William Shakespeare's work, English was the most sophisticated and advanced language on earth after all of his works were published.
I fully believe it. And it's insane to me that we still learn about it in English class. Like that is the primary literature that we learn English off of.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
How many times did you have to read Hamlet and Othello and like all these different,
Just the fact that like if this is true, it's insane that he's like achieved it like by tenfold, you know?
Right. Yeah. All right. Sir Francis Bacon had a secret society of writers and poets who called themselves the Knights of the Helmet.
And this is for show?
This is for sure. He actually did have a secret society of writers and poets. From the Knights of the Helmet, like here's a little bit of info. Sir Francis Bacon was the acknowledged leader of the Invisible Order dedicated to Pallas Athena. Now, the reason it was dedicated to Athena was because Sir Francis Bacon claimed that he had a vision of Athena, the goddess Athena, and told him to hide his identity and to write behind the veil of secrecy that would teach English language to people and put away popular applause. Like, put away the popular applause for yourself. Yeah. This is the time for you to teach everybody the English language, to unify it, and get the mission completed. The members of the secret literacy society, known as the Knights of the Helmet, had a series of ethical rituals created by Francis Bacon. They were initiated with an elaborate ceremony, which included a vow, recitatives. They recite things. The initiate was capped with the helmet of Pallas to denote he was henceforth an invisible in the fight for human advancement. A large spear was placed in his hand, indicative of a pen.
Oh my
indicative
God.
of a pen. For he was to shake the spear of knowledge at the dragons of ignorance.
I'm shaking my spear of knowledge.
Can't stop doing that. Think about this. There's a spear on Pallas signifying the pen, and he shakes his spear. He shakes his spear at of knowledge at the dragons of ignorance. He shakes his spear.
Yeah, I get it.
Shakespeare.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
I knew you didn't get it. So that ties Shakespeare into this, okay? We're getting closer to the end, so hang on with me, okay?
Okay.
All right. If I haven't convinced you already.
You convinced me like a week ago.
I'm talking to the listeners and the viewers right now.
You've convinced them a week ago.
Okay. Well, I'm going to convince you further. Here we go. In Sir Francis Bacon's famous books, The Wisdom of the Ancients, and New Atlantis in particular is interesting. He describes a utopia that which underlines many secret societies, including modern Freemasonry, and that the reason New Atlantis was not released until after Bacon's death was because it revealed the entire pattern of the secret societies that had been at work for thousands of years to achieve the ideal commonwealth in the political world. The ideal commonwealth being, in their eyes, America, the United States of America, as the land of boundless opportunities in the site of Masonic great plan to build the new Atlantis, according to the occult researchers.
Did Sir Francis Bacon plan colonialism?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, okay. Allegedly. But yeah, it was essentially... So his master plan was that he needed to unify the English language and increase everybody's intelligence and education, get everybody on board with what the Freemasons were trying to do. And then they wanted to colonize America, and then in America create the free world, aka the New World Order.
And aka Freemasons.
Well, that was the Freemasons' mission, is to create the New World Order. What the heck is America known for, dude? So
freedom!
The New World Order. It's the New World Order.
Insane.
Even if that wasn't Sir Francis Bacon's plan, it actually is what happened.
Yeah.
So if that was his plan, he did what he set out to do, which was unify the English language, elevate the education of the common folk, colonize America, and build the free world. I wanted to read you a little bit about New Atlantis, just the relevant parts. New Atlantis describes a utopian world where people live ideal, peaceful, enlightened lives, exposing the problems with such a world which we often overlook. New Atlantis, his book, is set in the 17th century England. A group of European explorers set off for China. They are religious men who pray to God for safe travels. However, they are soon caught up in a storm and blown entirely off course. Assuming they will die at sea, they ask God to forgive their sins. They spend their night praying and making peace with death. When dawn rises, the men have survived the storm. Although they are lost at sea, there is land on the horizon. They plan to reach the shore and recalibrate their route from there. The explorers discover they are on the mystical island of Bensalem. Bensalem itself has a deeper meaning. Bensalem actually is composed of two Hebrew words. The words Ben, which means son, and Salem, or Shalom, which is whole or complete. So essentially is the son of wholeness. So essentially it is a Christian place. So the son of wholeness is a Christian place where everyone is friendly, charitable, peaceful. So they're already in his book, he's creating this idealism that Christianity is the religion that will lead us to a peaceful, happy, fruitful life, right? That's... You can say whatever you want, but I feel like that's part of the plan. Yeah. Get everybody under this unified thing, which is religion, so that they will do what you say. And just like to further drive that of like get people under religion and then you can tell them what to do. In the book itself, it says the religion is a simple concept on Bensalem because the people worship God without relying on a church to guide them. They don't argue. So the Catholic Church, right? Christianity does not require the Catholic Church. They don't argue over doctrine and what scripture means because there's no arguing with God. There's no such thing as missionaries because no one needs convincing. To the explorers, Ben Salem is like heaven. As a last little piece of evidence regarding Shakespeare's work itself, I'm going to close that off with this. In Shakespeare's works, in Love's Labor Lost, there is an anagram, which in Latin translates to these plays, and I'm quoting here, these plays, the offspring of F. Bacon, are preserved for the world.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Deadass.
Yes. So in his work, in Love's Labor, in an anagram.
What's an anagram?
It's a coded message, right? You have to decode it. You have to decipher it. So in Love's Labor Lost, the anagram, which in Latin translates to these plays, the offspring of F. Bacon, are preserved for the world.
That's crazy.
You know, even if that wasn't his plan, that is what happened. America became colonized. The first president, George Washington, was also said to be a Freemason.
Really? I believe all of this.
And there's so many like Freemason symbols all throughout the United States, all throughout it. Like the most famous one that I can think of, like just off the top of my head, is the dollar bill, right? Like if you look at the dollar bill, right? You have the pyramid, you have the triangle with the eye, and you have the beams of light, right? On the side of the Great Seal shows an ancient Egyptian pyramid. That's this one right here, right? Beneath a triangle containing a glowing eye. So the pyramid is beneath the triangle, signifying that the pyramid is not complete. The pyramid can only be complete once the eye reaches the bottom. It's the all-seeing eye, essentially. So that all-seeing eye represents God. It represents the all-seeing power, the Christian God, right? And the pyramid, like the building of America, the New World Order, it cannot be completed until God leads the entirety of the order. So unless everybody's on board with a Christian God leading the new world, they can't actually complete that mission and complete that goal. That's why it's hovering above. The sacred number 13 is encoded in the seal. In the bundle of the 13 arrows, there's 13 arrows, there's 13 leaves on this branch, there's 13 berries, there's like the 13 stars, illuminated stars, which represents the 13 enlightened colonies. There used to be 13 colonies in the United States. There's the 13 letters in the motto e pluribus unum, which is one of many. In God We Trust is on the dollar bill. Then there's Novus Ordo Seclorum at the bottom of the pyramid, which means secular new order. And then on the pyramid, the pyramid itself has 13 layers of brick. Over here is the date in which the Illuminati formed, which is 1776. That's the date at the bottom, written in Roman numerals. Also, fun fact, if you take... I'll put the date on the screen, and if you take out the M, skip 2 letters, you take out the C, you skip 2 letters, you take out the X, and then you have 2 more letters. All of that is 666. What do you think of this conspiracy theory? How you feeling about it?
I feel insane. It feels like someone, like a few men planned our entire world that we live in, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and then in like something I forgot to mention, in this utopia, in the New Atlantis book, not only is everybody following the Christian faith and following God, but also in the book, women are lesser than men. Men, are the builders of the new world, and women, their sole purpose in the book is to have children and reproduce.
See, it shows that religion is literally just created to control people.
I mean... That's a whole other rabbit hole.
True.
That I don't want to go down right now.
Yeah.
Freemasonry in itself can be a whole. A rabbit hole and a whole podcast. But I just thought that this was super compelling.
Yeah.
And I really love digging into it, and there's obviously more rabbit holes that you can fall down.
Completely, I can tell.
But it's pretty cool theory.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite conspiracy theory. I've like listened to a few different ones, but this one like blows my mind.
Well, that's all I have for you today. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Please do make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel because we put out videos every week and you don't want to miss them. And if you want to hear more conspiracy theories or you just want me to dive into another topic, comment it down below. Hit that comments, get that comment section on going or something. These episodes are super fun to dig into and film, but they take longer because of all the research. So if you do want to hear more and you want me to list more theories or whatever, or you have one that you want me to dig into, comment it below. Leave a like if you liked it, and we will see you guys in the next pod. Peace.